I want to talk about a groundbreaking study called the Batman study. This study was done on children between the ages of 4 and 6 years old, and they were given a project and separated into 3 groups. And the project was this: they told kids to essentially do this work to maybe build something, okay, as an example. And there was 3 groups. One group of kids, they said, just act naturally, go in and build, build that castle or do this thing. The second group, they said, hey, think about yourself in the third person and be extra self-aware of your actions. So for instance, hey, Johnny, hey, go in there and do your best to build this house, build this block, and be aware of how good of a job you're doing of it. Okay. The third group of people, they did what we'd call an identity swap with their favorite superhero. For instance, some of the boys said, I'm Batman, which is where the name came from. One of the boys said, I'm Batman for the Batman effect. And some of the girls might have said, I'm a Disney princess like Elsa or Moana. Okay. And they said, go in there and do this job or this task. Well, at the end of this basically, this study found that first group, who were just not self-aware, had the poorest performance. The children who were self-aware, and this practice is called self-distancing, where they asked them to step outside of themselves and see how well that they were performing. That group saw a 13% improvement in their work ethic. Now, here's a crazy thing. The children with the superhero identity had 23% greater performance than the first group, and is evidence more diligent, also demonstrated more diligence and perseverance. 23% greater than the first group, 10% better than the second group. Now this study gets a lot into self-awareness. The first group was not self-aware. The second group was self-aware. The third group, though, their self-awareness was a higher level in that their identity was tied to the greatest version of themselves or the greatest version of their greatest hero. So think about this. If you were going in and doing something and I told you, listen, you're as wise as Elon Musk, or going into an effort and you literally thought in your head, as some kids might do, you're Batman, you're Superman, you're Wonder Woman, the performance was even greater. What an amazing study. This shows your level of self-awareness and your identity. If you believe you're capable, let me ask you this. Do you believe that you are capable of great things? Do you believe that you are capable of being one of the most loving people of all time? Do you believe that you are wise? Do you believe that you are smart? Do you believe that you're worthy? Do you believe you're capable of doing great things and impacting the world and adding value to others? Well, if you don't, you're not self-aware enough. We were all made in the image of God, and knowing that we're divine beings and all have unique giftings that no one else in the world has, when you know that about yourself, you become powerful. So you need to be aware of that. And let me say this, there's really this very critical combination of you becoming your best self, of being aware of all of your faults and weaknesses and how minuscule you are in the grand scheme of things, but also holding that in one hand, and in your other hand, also knowing that you have the capability with sometimes speaking a word to somebody that could literally save their life. Like most people are walking around and they're just having bad days. And some people have not had a kind or encouraging word said to them in years. And knowing you could go and say something to somebody and stop a school shooter. You could go and say something to somebody that literally saves their life. So there's this combination we should all walk around with when we're operating at our highest level of self-awareness, where we know the incredible goodness we're capable of and how much we matter and how meaningful we are, but also at the same time, how meaningless certain things are, how maybe unimportant we are in certain instances, and how in the evil we're capable of. So we both should be walking around with a level of humility and also, positive thinking about ourselves and our future at the same time. The wisest people walk around with both of those things, this sort of confidence and courage and this humility. So self-awareness does this. It puts us in a position that allows us to identify our areas for growth. We also become aware of the positive changes we can make. We know our strengths and we know our weaknesses. We know threats to us, these vices, and we know opportunities. And so, but it's knowing, and let me ask you this. Do you know what your greatest strengths are? Like if I asked you right now, what are your three greatest strengths in life? Your three greatest character qualities and your three greatest talents or skills that God has blessed you with. What are those? And then what are your greatest weaknesses? Those things that threaten your character and those skills, those things that you're just not good at. You should know those immediately. If you're not self-aware. Hey, if you liked this, then watch my full episode right here.